Oh, I've
Well,
got you. I've got video, both now.
there you go. Well, that's wonderful. I couldn't be happier now that we got it figured out. Well, Reed, thank you so much for taking time to visit with me this morning. I appreciate it very much.
Uh,
Well, as you may or may not know, I do these interviews with customers who have purchased chairs from me so that people that are shopping for chairs can get a feeling for what experience you had in your buying experience, as well as what how you found us and how you came to decide on the chair that you decided upon, and a few other things that'll come to mind as we begin our chit chat. But now you're here in Utah. You're one of our local customers,
yep.
and I know that you bought the Apex Ultra massage chair.
Uh-huh.
So tell me a little bit about how you came to decide upon that chair, or tell me a little bit about the process you went through to get a chair, what how it started, and how you ended up at our place, and ended up with the chair you ended up with.
Um, I have wanted a massage chair for a long time, and I'm a I love researching on the internet, so I spend quite a bit of time just looking up at different companies, reading about chairs, and I think it wasn't very long after I started researching that I realized I really needed to sit in a chair, that researching it on the internet wasn't going to be enough. And there's a local company down here in Utah County that has chairs, but they only have a few of them. And I was in there probably about a year ago, sat in them, and I thought, that's nice, but I want to be able to find some place that can compare. And I was looking on the internet and found your store, and especially like the fact that you had a lot of chairs available, and that I could make an appointment and go down. So, and the fact that it was local was great for me, that there was something available close by. So I was thrilled when I found a store that I could actually go in and sit in chairs. So,
Well, our store is quite unique. There's not many like this around the country. So when people find out about it here in Utah, they're kind of surprised that it's in their own backyard. They don't realize that it's hard. It's hard. We have people that fly in from all over the country to try these things out. So you're lucky to have it close by, even though you had to drive probably 40 minutes to get to us. But we're glad you came. So from the time you started looking for a chair to the time you bought the chair, did you say it was about a year?
a year overall, but when I was seriously, when I had made, I mean, I did some preliminary, but when I was serious about it, it was probably only a couple of weeks
Okay.
that I looked, and then I made the appointment and came in. So,
Now, tell me about your experience in the showroom. Of course, I was there, but I want to hear it from your mouth. What was your experience with the different chairs, with having to make that decision on buying a chair, and how you decided upon the Apex Ultra?
well, probably the biggest criteria was I had a price point that I wanted to stay at, and I, one thing that I really appreciated being in the store was I didn't feel any pressure whatsoever to try and go over my price. You were really great at letting me know which chairs were in my price range, and then I think I sat in what, four or five chairs,
Yeah.
um, and just the ability to sit in a chair, go through a whole cycle, spend as much time as I wanted in the chair, and compare them all was great. And I know myself well enough to know that if I had sat in one of those more expensive chairs that was out of my budget, I probably would have fallen in love with it and liked it. So I remember at one point you even saying, and I'm not even going to show you that chair because that one's out of your budget, which I appreciated. And it was really helpful to me to be able to sit in some chairs. I remember one that was on the left side of the room that I sat in and almost immediately could just tell, yeah, this isn't the chair for me.
Right.
And I wouldn't have known that just based on the features and the feature list on that, but to sit in it and feel it, and also to really feel the difference because the model that I got has the L track in it, which I love, love, love,
Right
and
on.
be able to feel the difference between the S track and the L track was, just to have that hands-on experience and
Yeah.
feel it was great. So,
I'm a big fan of that L track. I think that's kind of like the biggest thing in our industry since since maybe 3D rollers or something like that. I
yeah,
think it's a big innovation. I love it myself.
yeah, yeah.
Now, the other chairs that we had you sitting in that price point where it was the Osaki 4000T, the Titan 8400, which was another L track. and the Zero G 4.0 from Human Touch. What else about the Ultra that you did you like? Maybe that separated it from the other L-Track chair, or just the other chairs in general. What was it about that chair?
I, to my best recollection, the one that it stood out because I started in the Ultra, I tried the other chairs, and then I ended up coming back to the Ultra. Is I really like an aggressive massage, and I
Yeah.
like the pressure on it. And the Ultra seemed to me to be a little bit more aggressive in the rollers than the other chairs. So I that feature, I remember. I can't remember which chair it was, but I remember kind of thinking, I wish I could have that feature off of this chair and this one. But
Yeah.
overall, I like the configuration of the airbags. Oh, and I really like the feet rollers on the
Yeah.
Ultra too.
It's pretty
And
intense. The foot rollers can be intense with the airbags pushing down.
yeah,
Has that been a problem for you, or did you find that it was difficult at first and you adapted to it, or did you
so
lower the intensity? What did you do?
so I have this little trick that works for me. When I like the second zero gravity position. It has three,
Okay.
and my preference is I like the second one. And after I get in that position, then I put, because it has the adjustable foot. You can lengthen the foot uh, part of it.
Hmm.
And when it first starts, that's when the rollers are kind of intense on my feet. So I actually push out with my toes so that there's not quite as much pressure when it starts. And then it only after a couple of minutes, either my feet adjust to it or I don't know, whatever. But then I just relax my toes and then let the rollers go in. And that's worked out great for me.
Oh, it's a great suggestion. I've not heard that before. I do know that the foot rollers on a couple of chairs are a little intense for some, and your foot's kind of a funky area. Some people don't like their feet being touched at all,
Yeah.
and some chairs have a really light foot massage that's great. But if you like an intense, good, deep foot massage, that Ultra will not leave you wanting. It, it,
Right.
it does a good job at that.
Well, my sister sat in it. She's had surgery on her feet, and her feet are very sensitive. And I just took two like kitchen towels, rolled them up, and placed them on the rollers because she
Yeah.
still wanted the airbag and that intensity. And so I just put them under her feet, and that she could still feel just a little of the roller, and it cut down enough that she could still enjoy all the rest of it without the pressure of the foot roller. So
Yeah,
that worked.
that's another good idea. I've heard that idea before. You can turn off the foot rollers. There's different settings, but when you push the foot roller button, you can shut the rollers off. I think it's three presses and it's off.
Oh,
But
okay.
just FYI if she comes back. But if it's just you using it,
Yep.
just leave
I've
it.
I've had fun exploring, and I'm just amazed at how many different combinations of programs you can get out of between I think there's six auto programs and then all of the manual settings that you can do. So
Yeah, there's a lot of things that can be done, and the remote's quite simple, isn't it? It doesn't
yeah,
take much to
yeah.
kind of work your way around that remote control.
The only if they were going to make a modification to it, because I have it in what I call my Zen room. So
Hmm.
it's just a room. I like to basically turn off the light. I have a little tabletop waterfall that has a light on it. So there's just a little bit of light in the room. But when you're not actively pushing something, it's totally dark.
Yeah,
So to, I have to push a button in order to get the lights to come on, then to be able to see it. It would
right.
be nice to have a backlight on it that either stayed on or you could somehow turn on to see.
That's a good point. That's a common uh, comment we've had from about other chairs too. It's not just the Apex Ultra, but that's a fairly common complaint. So you're not alone in that department. Now, as far as the neck massage goes, I really like the neck. I mean, I love the butt roller, bar
Yeah.
none. I think that's the greatest thing since sliced bread. But I think the neck massage on the Ultra is fantastic. It's quite vigorous. What's your take on it?
So I'm unique. I have quite a few friends who come over and sit in it regularly, and I'm probably the only one of everyone. I take the head pad off
Yeah.
so that I can feel the neck roller because I really do like the aggressive. And I seem to remember that the Ultra comes up higher than the other chairs. It
Hmm.
really actually comes up quite high on the back. And I like the ability. There's a lot of times will actually press my head into the rollers so it gets really aggressive on my neck. And I do like it a lot. There have been, on one of the auto programs, it actually works its way up your neck and then slowly presses down through your neck and then stops there. And I'm always disappointed that it doesn't stay there longer. And I know you can do the, the spot massage, but it's like, no, just a little bit longer right there. That would be great.
Right there. Well, now when it hits your skull, that's one of the things with that chair. You can adjust it when it's doing a body scan and it beeps to let you know that it's at the shoulder area. You can lower those rollers a bit so it doesn't hit the back of your skull, because that can be uncomfortable hitting the bone
Yeah.
on the skull.
Yeah.
Have you had any problems with that?
I have, well, I mean, there are spots, but I kind of like to be able to play with it because I can just move my neck or move my head enough just to get it off the bone
Ah,
and move it around. And I kind of like that ability that I can kind of manipulate my head while the rollers are still there and hit the spot that I want it to hit. So
I like that. Yeah, that's you're optimizing your use of it. That's great without having to adjust too much.
yeah,
How tall are you, Reed?
I'm 5'7".
5'7". So your fitting is just fine in that chair. You're like almost the perfect median height of that chair. For some people over like 6'1", 6'2", the legs get a little bit too long, and the knees kind of kick up a bit, and then they can't feel the calf rollers on the back of their calves. So you're the right height, but for someone that's over, I'd say 6'1", 6'2", it gets tedious trying to make the chair fit.
Yep.
Tell me what you thought about the calf rollers, because we don't have any other chairs with calf rollers in them in the showroom.
I love the calf rollers. I mean, I like the I I'm pretty sure they hit right for me. They hit perfectly right at my calf. Um, a luxury that I would love is if the calf rollers actually rolled, I mean, moved up and
Yeah.
down themselves. They roll in one spot, which is really nice. And I like the combination of the airbags with the rollers is just nice.
Yeah.
I never sit in the chair without having the calf and leg rollers on. I like it all the time. So,
Yeah, well, no, that's good. And the calf rollers are an interesting innovation. It can become a little irritating just staying in one place. Any rollers like that. Sometimes the
yeah,
feet become irritating, the foot rollers become irritating, or the calf rollers become irritating because it stays in one place. And unfortunately, you cannot turn off the calf roller. So if that does become irritating, some people might need to put like a washcloth or something under
yeah,
there to kind of
move it out.
damper it a bit. But yeah. But okay, now as far
I
as
want to
the
just say when you were talking about height, I
yeah.
have had I have a group of men that meet in my house. We just kind of, it's our warriors man group. And I have friends who, I think the tallest is probably 6'1" or 6'2". And I have a friend who's about 5'5", and they've all sat in the chair. They've all loved it. So
Wow,
I've had,
awesome.
I've had friends of all different heights in it. And my friend who's 5'5" is kind of stocky and fairly wide. And he kind of snuggles down to get in the chair, but once he's in it, he loves it. So it does accommodate a whole wide range of sizes.
Well, and isn't a chair a friend magnet? I mean, people just are attracted to it. They just drawn to it like
Very
tractor
much
beam.
so.
Well, now you need to give them my card and send them down, Reed. And
Well, I actually have on the shelf right next to it your cards that several have taken and the brochure that you left. And so people's like, here, this is, where did you get it? I was like, here's the store. It's local. Go try it out.
bless
So,
your ever loving heart. I appreciate
I,
that
I
very
have
much.
I have several friends who are actually saving their pennies. So you may see some in a little while.
Good. Until then, you're going to be stuck with them whether you like them or not. They're going to be
That's
coming
right.
by to visit you quite regularly.
My 17-year-old son works at Costa Vida and he's on his feet, and I can always count on him coming home from his work shift, and that's the first place he goes is sits in the chair.
Good. Well, he's okay. He can mooch all he wants, but
Yeah,
it's those friends and neighbors that just the friends that come out of the woodwork. They're the ones you
yep.
got to get down to the store. Now, did you have any complaints like physical complaints, back pain, headaches, neck aches, whatever when you were looking for the chair? Was it for any kind of somatic complaints?
um, not specific. I have always had lower back right across my like hip bones on my back, and I do have to, because the chair is pretty aggressive. That's another one where I tweak when it, depending on how my back's feeling. When it rolls over that spot, it can be a little intense. But all I do is just kind of arch my back a little, just to get enough pressure off as it rolls by that feels good. But that's been the only complaint that I have on my back. But
Right.
I carry a lot of tension in my head and my neck, which is why I love the neck rollers.
Huh.
That's just great for me.
Well, have you found that by using, how long have you had the chair now for?
Almost 7 weeks.
7 weeks. Are you finding that by regular use of the chair, some of those somatic complaints are diminishing? Are
Oh
you
yeah.
noticing that you're not as tense in the neck, or not as frequently as tense, or the low back's better, or are you noticing anything like that? As
I
far as
am,
health?
and my low back. I just have noticed in this last week. I think there was one night particularly because I typically sit in it when I teach school. So when I get home from school, that's where I head. I
Yeah.
sit in it, and then I'll sit in it once again, usually before I go to bed. And I was just aware after I had been in it for a cycle that I hadn't arched my back at all. That the rollers had just gone over it, and that I had didn't notice anything about my lower back. So definitely,
So the tissue's not as tender as it was
yeah,
before.
yeah.
You must. Do you teach high schoolers?
I teach sixth graders, 11 and
Oh,
12-year-olds,
I was gonna say, man.
which is almost as much.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's got to be high schoolers. They're the ones that cause us all the pain.
I
Now,
did. I wanted to mention one little quirk, and I don't know, just to make maybe other people aware. When I first got the chair, um, in it was very noisy at the start, and remember thinking, I don't remember it being this noisy when I was in the showroom, and I listened to it and I thought, this is distracting noisy, and I thought I'm going to give it a little bit of time to see if it's just newness works its way out or whatever,
right.
and I finally pinpointed it. It was when the airbags were on, the pump filling the airbags
Yeah.
were really noisy. But after probably about a week, maybe 10 days, that noise went away and
Oh,
it's
really?
much quieter now.
So
So,
maybe it was
that,
just kind of working out its own
yeah,
little quirks.
yeah. So, if anyone else gets that chair something, that was just something that I noticed to say that noise has gone away now. So, it's just the kind of the normal noise that I heard at the showroom.
Yeah, that's good to know. I've not heard that, but I appreciate that feedback, and I'm sure someone else will hear that, and this will be a help to them. Now, have you noticed any other health benefits from the chair? I mean, yes, you came with back pain and you had some neck tension. Have you noticed anything else when you use the chair? Like the reason I ask this is because some people will make comments. Hey doc, by the way, I sleep better after I sit in the chair, or I find that I can breathe deeper, or whatever the thing is. Have you noticed any other weird things like that?
Well, that I think I probably sleep better, and that's one reason why I typically will go sit in it for a cycle before I go to bed,
No.
because then I just find myself relaxed and
Sorry about the noise. Hold
yep,
on. Just a minute. There we go. Sorry about that.
no problem.
The
So
but
yeah,
you're finding
I
that it's
feel like
very soothing and relaxing.
yep, very much so.
Wow. Well, that's pretty neat. Is there anything else about the chair or about the experience that we haven't covered that you want to chit chat about?
No, I I wish I'm shooting myself now that I didn't get the chair years ago, and just really enjoy it. I can't think of really anything about the chair that I don't like. It's been great. I'm really glad I have it. So
Well, that is great. Well, your information today has been great, Reed. I really appreciate your time and going over this with us and with the people that'll be watching this video. Just so that you know, I'm sure you're aware of this, but this video will go on YouTube today. So if you're too shy, it's too late. You're already you're committed, man.
I kind of figured that when I did it. It's like, it's good enough.
Well, it really helps. I mean, it's people can hear me talk all day long about the chairs, and it can seem a little disingenuous after a while because I sell massage chairs. It's my job to pitch them, but to hear a customer talk about it and talk about their experience with it and how it's helped them and how they decided to buy from us or whatever, that's invaluable. So your input is really really appreciated. I'm very grateful that you took the time to talk with me today.
I would tell anyone, sit in a chair. You want to experience them.
Yeah.
That's the way to buy a chair, is to sit in them and experience them. So
Well, thank you so very, very much. And I'll have this up later today. You can watch it for yourself, and
great.
hopefully, you'll be happy with your performance today.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Good
Reed.
talk. All right.
Take care.
Have a good day.
Bye bye.
Bye.